Hi, my name's Paul Massara from Arrowfield Stud, and we've been using the Equiloom masks generally on our dry mares, but also on some of our maidens as well. We find the Equiloom to be a very useful operational tool. It allows us to have the mares out in the paddocks and roaming freely, not having to bring them into barns. There are also some financial benefits. Obviously there's no stable bedding, the excess staff used, and obviously transporting the horses in and out on a daily basis. That can be time consuming, and this is money I think well spent to save in those operational procedures.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gary Falter with the Jockey Club, and just like to welcome everyone to today's online panel. Now, this is the second panel in our series of 10 online Zoom panels for 2024. And today we're going to talk about information resources for thoroughbred owners. But before we get started, I'd like to recognize our sponsors, starting with our presenting sponsors, the Green Group, Bessemer Trust, and Stoll Keenan Ogden. And today's panel sponsors are Equiloom and Pleasant Acre Stallions. And our Q&A sponsor is West Point Thoroughbreds. And our thanks to all the sponsors for their continued support of thoroughbred ownership and helping us offer these webinars at no cost to you. So special thanks to all of our sponsors. Okay, so next I'd like to introduce today's speakers. Got a great lineup of speakers. We're going to start off with introducing Rhonda Norby. Hi, Rhonda.
Hello.
Rhonda is the Director of Marketing and Communications with Equibase. Next is Tim Leith. Hey, Tim.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Tim is the Senior Vice President with the Jockey Club Information Systems. Next, we'll have Scott Carling. Hi, Scott.
Hello, everybody.
And Scott is the General Manager with the BloodHorse. And last but certainly not least is Dan Metzger. Hi, Dan.
Hey, Gary. Hello, everyone.
And Dan is the President of the Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association, also known as TOBA. All right. So, hey, we got a lot of ground to cover, a lot of information to show all of you in the audience. So if you have a question, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We're going to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the webinar. And also don't feel that you need to take a lot of detailed notes because we record all these sessions and you can always go back after we have the recording up to review any of the topics, any of the conversation that's going on. So let's go ahead and move on. So you probably have heard the saying, information is knowledge and knowledge is power. I think everybody's probably heard that saying before. And you probably also have heard the saying that you don't know what you don't know. And so today we're going to try to spend some time, covering some of the best information resources available to thoroughbred owners and things that we believe you should know about and should be using. So we're going to start off. I'm going to cover OwnerView.com, and then Tim's going to cover Equineline, Rhonda's going to cover Equibase, Dan's going to cover TOBA, and Scott's going to cover BloodHorse. So we got a lot of ground to cover, and so I'm just going to jump right into it. OwnerView, just to give you some background, and I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen so you can see OwnerView on the screen. There we go. So OwnerView was developed in 2012 as a result of the McKinsey study performed by the Jockey Club in 2011. And McKinsey found that many thoroughbred owners complained that there just were very limited resources available to them when they started in the industry. So one of the recommendations that came from the study with McKinsey was to develop new tools and resources to encourage thoroughbred ownership. And from that, in 2012, so that's 12 years ago, OwnerView.com was launched. And so on the screen, you'll see the OwnerView homepage. It's a free website with just a wide array of valuable information for owners. So I can sit here and talk about it, but I'd rather than talk about it, let's go ahead and jump into OwnerView so I can show you some of the more popular areas. The most used area within OwnerView is trainers, and you can see the screen. We have all these different menu options. I'm going to jump into trainers. And on OwnerView, we have every active trainer in North America with all of their statistics. And so I'm going to put in the last name of Cox because we're going to look up Brad Cox. And it's the first name that pops up. And once I click on Brad's name, it brings up a statistic page for Brad Cox. And all this information is official information that comes from Equibase. And you can see it defaults to the year 2024. If I go to this drop down, you can see Brad's been training for a lot of years. So I could easily jump to 2023 and see his stats and even go back many, many years. But let's stay with 2024. And you can see the number of starters, the number of starts, the starts per starter, how many wins. So he's had just this year alone, 63 wins in 46 seconds, 37 thirds, in the money 63% of the time, and win rate at 27% of the time. So a lot of detailed statistics available for you here on any trainer in North America that's an active trainer. And we define active trainers as any trainer that's had a start in the last 2 years. But it's not all about statistics. There's more that we ask that the trainers to provide. And on Brad, he has a profile. We've asked trainers to fill this profile page out so that owners and prospective owners can know how to contact you, learn something about you from your bio, maybe send you an email. And Brad's put a little bit of information. I've seen more on some of the other trainers' pages, but at least here, Brad, you have a phone number and an email address and even his Facebook link and a bio about himself and where he trains. And he has the option to put his phone number, day rate, and all that on here. Some trainers do, some don't. Another tab here is the top 10 horses. So if you're looking at Brad and you want to learn about, well, who's he trained? Who are his best horses? His top 10 winning horses over the past 12 months are listed here. There's Saudi Crown, Grade 1 winner, Idiomatic. So those are his top 10 horses in the last 12 months with their best win shown. And if you scroll down further, it shows his top 10 horses since 1991. And you can tell he's trained a lot of good horses. Horse of the Year, Next Go, Essential Quality, and so on. The name of the horse is a link that will take you to a pedigree on the horse, and the earnings would actually take you into Equibase. And we're going to show you those things a little bit later. The last thing I want to show you on Brad is if, as you're researching a trainer, you want to see, has this trainer had any rulings with the various racing commissions, you can click here. And this is, when we don't editorialize any of this at all. If somebody has a ruling with their racing commission that they were late to the paddock, it would show up here. But you can look here on Brad Cox. He's had some rulings, but nothing since 2020. And if you click on the one in 2020, it just shows he had an overage that looks like on Butte. But then here's one from Pennsylvania, and I think he was charged $200 for having the papers were late getting into the racing office. So, if it's important to you as an owner, and hopefully it is, as you're researching trainers, to find trainers, who don't have a recent, especially a recent long list of medication rulings. If you want to continue researching trainers, you just click on the trainer link. I'm going to put in Lucas and see what comes up for Wayne Lucas. Sure enough, there he is. Click on his name. And here are the statistics for Wayne Lucas for this year. If I wanted to compare trainers, I could click on this button and maybe put in Lucas and Pletcher and Brad Cox, and it would show their stats side by side. Same with the profile on Wayne. You'll see his profile, nice photograph, a little more detail with Wayne, but that's really up to the trainers. And we encourage trainers to fill this out because this is like a mini web page for them. So that's what I want to show you on trainers. A lot you can do here. And again, just remember, all of this is free. Racing syndicates, that's our second most popular area within OwnerView. This is an alphabetical list of public racing syndicates that we've either identified or they've come to us to add them onto OwnerView. And we have anything from, like, here's Beach Haven. They haven't had a starter this year, all the way to West Point Thoroughbreds. It's had 60, or 86 starts this year. So this is an alphabetical list of various racing partnerships / syndicates that are open to the public. There aren't private partnerships here. These are all public racing syndicates. So let's click on one and see what content is available. So we'll go to our friends at West Point Thoroughbreds, one of our sponsors, and very similar to the trainer page, here's a statistics page for 2024 for West Point Thoroughbreds. And going back to the trainer and this page, the content on these pages are updated every night. So this is through yesterday. So they've had a total of 86 starts, 12 winners, almost 14% in the money, broken down by, stakes, 2-year-olds, claiming, first-time starters. I can go back again many years to look at the stats for West Point Thoroughbreds. It's all very dynamic, and it just comes up as soon as you click on the year. When you click on the profile, very similar to the trainer's profile, and most racing syndicates do a very good job of populating this profile. They let you know who they are, how to contact them. Most of them have websites. They have social media presence. They'll sometimes list how large their stable is, who their trainers are. And you're going to see on OwnerView, there's a model that we follow, is you click on the name of an entity and it takes you to one of these profile pages. The top 10 horses in the last 12 months for West Point, Carson's Run, Grade 1 winner, and so on. You can see all these horses. And again, there are links to more content available if you click on the name or the earnings. If I just go back to syndicates and I wanted to research another syndicate, you just scroll down. Here's Eclipse Thoroughbreds, and I can look at their stats if I choose to, look at their profile, find out how to contact them, and so on. One thing that the syndicates cannot put on OwnerView is what their buy-in model is and what their financial model is. That goes against the SEC regulations. So you'll not find on our website what it costs to invest in one of those horses. That would require you to ask them. Next tab I'd like to show you is ownership. And this is a tab we developed primarily for those newcomers, persons wanting to become an owner, or you are already an owner, but you're still very new at it. The first, you have several tabs along the side here. The anchor tab is estimated training costs. So we did a study several years ago of what it costs to have a horse in training here in the US, and even broke it down by region. So whether it's the West Coast or the Northeast, and it ranges anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000, $60,000 a year. And we break it down by item, whether your training fees and veterinary and so on. And this gives newcomers an idea that, it's an expensive sport to invest in. And we typically tell people it's going to be between $30,000 and $60,000 a year to have a horse in training. And down below it talks about veterinary services and other expenses. And this study was done a while back, so I would suspect that these costs are actually understated based on costs for today. Your first thoroughbred, there's a link here that talks about, what types of ownerships you can have, whether it's sole ownership, partnerships, racing partnerships, the importance of developing a business plan and what can go into that business plan. If you're very new to this, selecting your advisor and why you would want to have advisors. So a lot of content here, a lot of good information for owners, especially new owners, to look at. So, please feel free to use that. I'm not going to hit on all of these items because I could probably fill the hour, and we have other guest speakers that would like to cover some of the areas. But I'm going to end up on this last tab here. Incentives. Nearly every racing state and breeding state have state incentives. And so this table here gives you an alphabetical list from Alberta to Wyoming of their state incentives. And this grid is a little hard to read, but if I wanted to race in Florida and wanted to see what their incentive programs are, I would just click on the Florida tab, brings up a profile from the Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners, gives you information on how to contact them, where they're located, and then they have the detail behind, do they have restricted races? Do they have restricted stakes? Do they supplement their purses for those who race and breed in Florida? Are there owner awards? And so on and so forth. And so if you're going to race in a specific state or target specific states, it would be beneficial to learn about their various programs. And Dan's going to talk in a little while about the Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association, and that's at a national level. All of these states have breeders associations, and this page here will give you information on how to contact those breeders and owners associations in your state. Okay, so I know that was a lot. I think we're staying on time here. So I'm going to jump over to Tim Leith. I'm going to stop my screen sharing here. And then we're going to ask Tim to give us some insights on Equineline. So you there, Tim?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. So Tim, there's a lot of features on Equineline that would benefit owners. So let's focus on a few of the more popular areas. And in one of those areas, it's a free service called a 5-cross or a 5-generation pedigree. So can you show the audience where they can find this, how it works, any associated cost, and so on?
Well, no associated cost, as by the name of it. It is free, and you can search any pedigree throughout the world. So up in the top right-hand corner of our homepage, it says free 5-cross pedigree, and it's very easy to use. You can just simply type in any horse's name and hit enter or the search key. It will then prompt you with a list of any horses that match that. Again, I just would like to point out, as you'll see here, there are international horses on this horse listing. Our database is complete to include worldwide data. So you will see pedigrees throughout the entire globe. But once you've actually selected on it, at the bottom of the page, the 5-cross pedigree is displayed. Would just like to point out a few different items on this. It is a basic 5-cross pedigree, family tree. We do color code the inbreeding on the page, the pedigree itself. So you can see where Fabiano is found twice in the 5th generation, Mr. Prospector once in the 4th, and then also in the 5th generation. For any sires that are also participating in the TrueNix program, we will do an automatic TrueNix calculation for you on the pedigree here. We include the breeder. Inbreeding, once again, is listed out for ease of viewing. The dosage index, and then we've also included the last auction history for the individual horse as well. So if the horse has gone through the auction 2, 3, or 4 times, you can actually click on complete auction history, and it will display it. This horse only went through the auction ring once. And so therefore that's all there is to be seen on that one. And then the last on the free 5-cross pedigree here is nicking statistics. We do provide statistics for the sire, then the broodmare sire, and then the actual nick of the broodmare sire with this particular sire, so that you can kind of see how successful those particular nicks have been. Last thing I'll touch on is any of these horses are also links to pull up their 5-cross pedigree as well. So you can really dig into the actual families and keep going back generation after generation if you want to do further research on those families.
So Tim, let me ask you, am I limited to how many of these I could run if I wanted to do research on a number of horses?
Yeah, I mean, there are limits in place, but you have to be very, very, very active in order to hit those thresholds. But we're talking hundreds in a given session. But for the most part, no average person will ever hit those limits.
Okay. And what about an unnamed horse? Can you do a 5-generation pedigree on an unnamed horse?
Yeah, absolutely. All you have to do is just type in the year of birth. And I'm gonna draw a blank for an actual dam's name, no match found. So just simply the year of birth and the dam's name, and
Okay,
you can pull that up.
okay, all right. So that's a 5-generation pedigree. It shows the sire line and the female line goes back, as we said, 5 generations. So it goes back pretty far. But what about other reports? Equineline, you got a lot of things on there: race records, catalog style pedigrees, produce records, stallion reports, and many, many more. And I believe one of the more popular reports is what I will call a product 40, a catalog style pedigree. Now, again, this was a 5-generation pedigree. Can you go through the steps of generating a catalog style pedigree and explain what it is we're going to see when you generate that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gary. To run an edited catalog style pedigree, or unedited for that matter, you can either come to the menu and simply select the product or type the product code within over here on the quick entry screen. I'm going to just simply select it, and I will stick with our horse Sierra Leone for this example. Again, same process of requesting the pedigree as we did for the 5 cross. And you'll see in the top right-hand corner here that this report has been ordered and is currently being generated for us. All of our pedigrees and reports are dynamic in the fashion that once you request it, our systems are going out and aggregating all that information for this catalog style pedigree on the fly.
So you're saying that pedigree is not just sitting on a shelf somewhere.
You're right, Gary. It's actually been calculated. So if we received any new foreign results this morning, or racing from the East Coast after the first race at Aqueduct today, those statistics would also be included in this pedigree.
Okay.
Simply
So
click on.
So that was live. That didn't take very long to generate.
No, we like for them to be fast when they can be.
Okay.
So
you're going to click purchase. Did this just cost me something?
It did indeed. Thanks for pointing that out. That edited catalog style pedigree is a $15 pedigree off the shelf. We do have volume discounts available for individuals that are more active and may be finding themselves running a lot of pedigrees throughout the year. But for the base price of it, this particular pedigree is $15.
Okay.
Now, as Gary pointed out, this is one of our more popular pedigrees. It's an edited pedigree, so it's only going to show you the highlights of the family. And where that's of interest is that, yes, this pedigree is going to be 2 pages. Some may say, well, that's not as edited as a catalog page, and you would be right. This would include just basic common winners, horses that have produced common winners as well. So it doesn't have the stringent rules of a catalog page found at an auction house, but it is edited to only show you the highlights of the actual family. And so here it is. It kind of comes down through the first 4 dams on this particular family, and then it will actually include your subject animal's race record at the bottom of the page.
So this looks like it would be the closest thing you might find to a true catalog pedigree that you would find in a sales catalog. Am I correct?
You are correct. You know, the thing that you would notice here is, like for a Equineline sale, these 3 horses wouldn't have met the earnings threshold in order to be included in the actual pedigree. So those would have gotten trimmed out. But for all intents and purposes, to get a pretty good snapshot of how a horse would catalog, this would be your best bet.
Okay. Now, Tim, go back to that menu option where you had all the catalog pedigrees. I mean,
Sure.
It seemed like there were a lot of options there.
Yes. Yes.
So I know we can't go through all of these, but it looks like you have samples of everything, the price of everything. And, once somebody from the audience runs one of these, how long do they have to download or look at it a second time? But what if they forget to print it? Or they have to run it again?
Yeah, great questions. And again, we are limited to time, so I will keep it at high level. All of our different products have a sample associated with it for you to view, to know that you're ordering the actual product that you wish to receive, and it's going to include the content that you wish to receive. Okay. 2 things off the shelf: whenever you order a pedigree, you've got 48 hours to come back and review it a second time. We do also have a neat feature called our binder, to where you can actually select the actual binder here, and that will then save that horse in your pedigree binder until you delete it. So it will always remain there for you for future reference as well. So If you don't select a binder, you got 48 hours. If you do select a binder, it's unlimited amount of time that we will store that pedigree for your future review.
So it sounds to me like that's an electronic binder that I've just filed away this pedigree. Is that correct?
Exactly. You can upload photos of horses. We create indexes of the horses, a complete PDF file of all of your brood mares, interactive flip book. It's a very neat feature that's free of charge for any purchase made.
Well, you
Yeah.
just answered my question. I was going to ask you, how much is that going to cost me?
It's going to be free.
All right, Tim, let's move on. So we've got a few more minutes. Another great service and very popular service on Equineline is the My Portfolio service. Can you spend a few moments reviewing the subscription service? I know it's a monthly subscription service, and kind of hit on some of the highlights. We can't show everything or we'd be here all day, but let's let our audience know about this great service.
Yeah, thanks again, Gary. So the portfolio in a very high level is just like you would have your financial investments in a portfolio. This would be your equine portfolio, to where you can keep all of your brood mares in a single repository, track any activities of their progeny, entries, results, workout, sales entry, sales results, input your purchase dates, purchase prices, any appraised values, things of that nature. Again, due to time constraints, I'm probably going to rush through this a little bit, but I'm going to select this mare Belva, and you will see a listing of all of her progeny of produce record with them in chronological order. It includes links to their actual auction history of public sales, as well as any race earnings for a tabulated race record. This particular download was a one-time fee of $6. But once you've purchased that, this information is updated all day long, every day. So as information or updates are available for this particular mare or her progeny, this particular screen would be updated, as well as you receiving a notification of those updates as well. A couple of other benefits here. As you can see, there's a lot of different menu items to where you have 5-cross pedigree again. But I am going to touch on the premium edited pedigree. This would be similar to, or basically the same pedigree of what we just viewed, which is the 40P. But what's interesting is this pedigree, if you purchase it one time for $12, you are eligible for a free update every 30 days. Now that's user discretion of when you update it, the 31st, the 41st, the 61st day. That's totally your discretion, but it is eligible for a free update every 30 days. If there's a big update in the family and you wish to do something in between that 30-day cycle, there would be a one-time fee of $6 if you just couldn't wait a few more days. But otherwise, you basically always have an updated pedigree available to you at all times.
But let me stop you there for just a second, because a moment ago you put a pedigree into a binder from that catalog pedigree that you ran. This is the portfolio service. This almost sounds like a binder, but it's almost like a dynamic binder that you can go to and update the pedigree. What would you say, every month?
Yeah, every month, free of charge.
Free of charge. Can you update the pedigree in the binder like that way?
Yes, sir. So as you can see, this blue button here, this is the actual binder that the horse has already been selected to. And so she's assigned to my broodmare portfolio binder. And I just updated this pedigree today. So that pedigree was automatically updated in my binder. So that binder is always going to hold the most updated pedigree from your portfolio as well.
Okay. So now you've shown us a broodmare. A lot of our audience are racehorse owners. Do you have anything in the portfolio service on racehorses?
Absolutely. So you can add a stallion here if you're wanting to track a stallion for his progeny. If you got a horse in training, you can put horses in training in there. You know, the unique difference, the pedigree screen, as we previously saw, is the same. But what's interesting here for a racehorse in particular is that, again, if you add a horse to a portfolio before it's ever made its first start, these PP lines would automatically get added at no additional cost. If the horse has 10 starts, 15 starts, 20 starts before you've added it, there is a one-time fee of $6 to get its complete race record history. And at that point in time, again, it keeps aggregating on top for you each and every start. You've got links to charts. There's options to watch videos of races for an additional fee of 35 cents per race. But this just keeps everything up to date and in a single place for you to track everything. It's got the last 10 workouts here, upload photos, entries for the horse, pretty much everything you need to track your horses in training.
Okay, good deal. Tim, I know there's a lot more on the portfolio service, but we're just want to stay on time here. So I think I'll come back to you in a moment here, but I think it's time for us to move on to Equibase and get Rhonda involved. So Tim, a lot of good stuff. Really appreciate all that you've shown us on Equineline.
No problem. Hold on just a second.
Okay. So now we're going to move over to Rhonda with Equibase. Hi, Rhonda.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. Hey, so one of the features I really like on Equibase is you can look up a racehorse and look at their lifetime charts. And I believe there's no cost to that. Maybe you can show us how you do that. How do you look up a horse and look at his lifetime charts?
Well, there's a lot of ways to skin that cat, Gary. We just to step back just a quick second, we launched this section that I'm kind of highlighting here. We kind of refer to it as Stats Central, but we launched that probably a good 10, 12 years ago. We had a treasure trove of all this information and was able to kind of develop that in a way that not only people in the industry but fans could get at it. This is all free of charge. Just going to the leaders here, you can look at horses, jockeys, trainers, and owners. And this is it's called leaders, but it's literally every start. So if you had a horse that you were interested in looking at, you can search for it here.
Okay.
If a horse has made a start in North America in any given year, and we go back a lot of years through 2000,
Okay.
you're going to be able to look it up there.
Okay.
And that's the same for horses, jockeys, trainers, and owners.
Okay.
So just
So let me just interrupt you here. So I'm an owner, and a person wants to sell me a horse, and I want to look at their charts. Now I'm probably not going to go through that leaders list to try to find that horse listed, but I would like to see the detail on his last few races. Is there a way to do that?
yes.
On
So
Equibase?
in this search area, which is on every single page of our website, you can
Mhm.
search by horse, jockey, trainer. So you can pop in, a
Okay.
individual horse there.
So let's just put Sierra Leone in. Since Tim was on
I was
Sierra.
gonna go to an older one.
Okay, that's good. Valid. Yep. We're on trainers there. It defaulted to trainer.
Oh, did it? Well,
Yeah.
let me pop back.
Or pick one from that list.
But yeah, you type right here and it will go
Mhm.
straight to that horse, or you can search, like I said, through a lot of different ways, and everything in here is linked. You can look at just, this is a 3-year-old, so not a ton of starts there, but
Okay.
it's the per year and then the career starts. And then the section that you're talking about, Gary, is the results, where we
Right.
lay out the detail, and all this again is linkable, where you can go specific to, if you want to look at the history of the race, the bluegrass that he just won, if you want to go to see a track profile. But here is the detail of each of his lifetime starts, including the chart of the race.
Okay. So if this horse had a dozen starts, those would be listed there chronologically. I think Sierra Leone's only had 4 starts, but if this were an older horse, had a dozen starts, they would be listed here.
That is correct.
Okay. And so you can look at the PDF of that, of all the races, and what's the cost to do that?
There is no cost.
Okay, great.
This is all free, and it's very easy to kind of get lost. Like I said, everything is linkable within this section.
Okay.
All charts going back to when Equibase was formed in 1991. They're all available.
Okay.
free.
Okay, what about video? Do you have video options on Equibase? If
Video
you know,
option is a
because
third party.
data, we're talking about information. Information isn't just numbers. It could also be video.
Right. So we offer through an arrangement that we have with our third party vendor, because we don't offer video ourselves, it's through a partnership. But every graded stakes race video is available for free. Beyond that, we do have packages where you can purchase those.
Okay.
Fairly reasonable. We have monthly, quarterly plans to be able to do that, but all of our graded stakes races are free, and that goes back all the way back in time. So if you're looking for some of the, top races throughout the country, you're going to be able to see those for free.
Okay. Okay. So I have a question for both Tim and for Rhonda. Actually, let me back up to Rhonda. Rhonda, there's a messaging notification service that Equibase has called Virtual Stable. Why don't you spend a moment and give the audience an idea what Virtual Stable is, how it works, any associated cost, and so on.
Sure. So Virtual Stable, again, something that we created a number of years ago. It's a free notification service. So you're allowed where you can build your own stable, and you can basically follow any person, horse, track, carryover, all those things that you can follow free of charge. Yeah.
Okay, so if a owner wanted to plug 6 horses in his virtual stable, could do that.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of different ways. You're going to get these email push notifications for a horse, for instance. You can get a ton of information separately, or you can get a digest information. So if you're interested in a particular horse that you're following, you can get an early final entry notification. You can get a race day notification, individual workouts, of course, the results, or if you just want to get a daily digest of all that information, then we can do that as well.
Okay, and if an owner was researching a couple trainers, could you do the same and put a couple trainers in there?
Absolutely, you can follow an unlimited amount of trainers, and you're going to get a once daily, again, notification of all the activity of that trainer on any given day.
Okay, great. So here's where I want to bring Tim into the conversation. So Tim, you didn't get a chance on the portfolio to show the messaging that the portfolio service offers. Can you and Rhonda just give the audience a comparison of the two? And again, not that they're competitive services, but it is good for everyone to know that there are services out there that they can utilize and could possibly be utilizing both.
Sure.
I think the big distinguishing factor between the services is that Equibase is based on current activity. So it's based upon, the entry information where it all starts at the racing office, and it's going to be based on the current activity of who, whatever horse or whatever human connection that you're interested in watching. But it's, if it's something that you're interested in that goes beyond what's currently occurring, then that's probably where you're going to be more interested, or in addition, adding to the portfolio service that Tim offers.
Yeah, and what I would add to that is that they do have the human component of it, which we do not. The portfolio, it's all just based on the horses. And then second to that, when you get into looking at like brood mares and or stallions, we're going to aggregate all of that brood mare's progeny for you and send messages out rather than adding individual horses of all for progeny. And likewise, the same for stallions. Stallions, you can participate in notifications for their progeny, and we would notify you of all of their progeny with a single entry. And then the last thing is we also include a few other items such as sales entries and sales results, but it's it's kind of different. One's, I think, is more for the casual fan and business professional.
I would agree.
Whereas the portfolio is very much you are managing your own broodmare band or your own racing stable, and just maybe following it a little bit closer than that of a casual fan.
Yeah, I would echo that ours was developed with the fan and the handicapper more in mind, and I think yours is definitely more well-rounded.
Okay, great. Appreciate the discussion there. So let's jump back to Rhonda. Rhonda, there's a menu option on Equibase for horsemen. And in this section, you can look up stakes nominations, overnight entries, condition books. Take a moment and just show the audience some of the content behind the horsemen's section, especially since we have so many owners on the call.
Absolutely. So the Horseman's Information Area was developed in cooperation with Encompass Solutions, which is our sister company that, has the racetrack operating system at all the racetracks. And again, it's also a cooperative initiative with our racetrack partners. You can see the main areas here that we offer, all condition books, the overnights, stakes books, and then stakes noms. So, you can go to these individual areas depending on how you want to access the information. And then you can see, you can go down and you can look by track for that information. You can start here and just go ahead and choose your track. And then you can see everything that's available for that particular track. So if you want to look at the condition books, see what the overnights are for any given day for the past 7, various, the past performances for the stakes noms for all their upcoming stakes races, stakes nominations, it's all there. So
Okay, so is this updated daily, nightly? How often does this, I mean, that's a lot of information for a lot of racetracks.
yes, it's really dependent on the racetracks themselves and how often they update it, but most of them are pretty good about keeping it updated as they would, within their own specific racing offices.
Okay, great. Rhonda, I know there's a lot of more information on Equibase, and I really appreciate your hitting on some of these highlights. And
Yeah.
and with the audience, if you have questions for Rhonda, if you have questions for Tim, we're going to take some time at the end to answer your questions, and maybe we can cover a few more areas within Equibase. So let's go ahead and move on, if we can, to Dan Metzger. So Dan, are you with us, Dan?
I'm here.
Okay, so let's stop screen sharing on the Equibase. There's Dan. Okay. All right, Dan. So Dan, each year, TOBA, the Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association, hosts ownership seminars around the country. Can you talk about what some of those topics are? Where are some of the locations where TOBA will be this year? And just any information you can provide to the audience for in-person seminars versus what we're doing here.
Sure. Thank you, Gary. TOBA was actually the pioneer in owner education about 35 years ago. Owner education, and it's been an ongoing cornerstone for TOBA since then, and now working with the Jockey Club on OwnerView. TOBA has right now scheduled, we'll add a few more, 3 seminars this year. We did have an ownership seminar earlier this year at Sam Houston in Houston, Texas. We have an upcoming seminar, which is usually our big one. It's what we call our 2-day breeding clinic in Lexington. It'll be in June, and then we'll have an October pedigree and confirmation clinic at FASIC Tipton. Different topics for those. The most important thing is that people are able to have a live in-person experience, mostly the most important thing with the horse. And that is so important, but it depends on the actual seminar or clinic. But for example, our upcoming one in June 7th through the 8th, just announced it earlier today, very excited about it. Actually, yesterday, we're going to have 4 farms on the for the 2 days. We're going to go to Lane's End, Mulholland Springs, Crestwood Farm, and Pin Oak Stud. We try to vary from big farms, the ones everybody reads about, the giants, and working farms as well. So everybody gets a great experience and a different perspective. And so, for example, at the one in June, we'll talk about all different aspects of the thoroughbred breeding industry, including mating plans, how these farms come up with their mating plans, their foaling policy and procedures, vet perspectives, pedigree and confirmation analysis. And as you can see from some of those photos that we were looking at earlier, you're hands-on. We were there in Dick Mandela's barn back at Del Mar last June. June or July. We were with Kenny McPeak at Facing Tipton, David O'Farrell down at Ocala doing our OBS seminar last year, watching 2-year-olds training in the morning. So it's so important, I think, to go from these virtual webinars, which are so informative for everybody, and to get the actual in-person on-hands experience.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, that's great. And when you'll be at Lane's End, they see stallions while they're there?
Oh, absolutely. They'll see, you obviously have Flightline there, Quality Road, Twirling Candy. And it's these farms are very generous of their time. You go to, Lane's End, owned by the Farish family. Mm-hmm. Then you go to Mulholland Springs. Martha Jane Mulholland and her son John do a wonderful job running this family breeding farm that's been around for, I think, nearly 50 years. Old horsemen in terms of, old school, and do a great job. Crestwood Farm, the McLean family. And then Pin Oak. Pin Oak is very exciting. Josephine Amber Crombie, who passed away a few years ago, built a show place out in Versailles. And then the Bernhards, Jim and Dana, came along from Louisiana and have really ramped up the program at Pin Oak. And so we're so excited to go to those 4 farms. And in addition, we'll be at Haggard, to go over at Haggard and to be able to see hands-on of some of these world-renowned, world-class vets doing their work.
Yeah, all great. Hey, so Toba partners with the HBPA every year for the annual Claiming Crown. Can you give the audience an idea what the Claiming Crown is, kind of maybe a brief overview, and how owners can get some of their claiming horses to qualify for that?
Absolutely. The Claiming Crown was founded in 1999 as a blue-collar championship day. Some have called it like the Claiming Crown, the claiming version of the Breeders' Cup. And it's been around this will be the 26th year, and have had wonderful venues over the years. Started at Canterbury Park up in Minnesota, had a long run there, had a long run at Gulfstream Park. And this past year, we were at the fairgrounds in New Orleans, returning to Churchill Downs this year in November. And it gives people the opportunity that horses that have started for claiming prices during a specified time period between $8,000 for one of the races up to $35,000. That would, if you start for that claiming price, and then you're running for purses, I think the lowest purses are $75,000 for the lower end, the $8,000 claimers, up to the purses. We haven't finalized the exact purses, but it'll be ballpark. And the Claiming Crown Jewel, and that's those that have started for $35,000, will be $200,000. So it's a great way to reward those owners. I mean, we all know claiming horses are the day in, day out horses that make our sport go. We all get so captured and caught up, rightfully so, in the stakes horses, and because that's what really draws people to the sport. But the everyday card, for the most part, at these racetracks across the country, are claiming races. And so it's a great way to reward those horses back and those owners.
So the owner's got has a really good claiming horse. Can he just enter the horse in one of those races?
Yes. I mean, if you visit the Claiming Crown website, it'll have the summary of conditions. We're still finalizing, this year's dates and everything. But yes, if you have a claiming horse, and most trainers who, especially those who claim horses, they're very in tune now to the Claiming Crown. They'll specifically target horses to it. Wow. For many years, Ken Ramsey, he put a big circle on, Ken Ramsey, successful owner, breeder, races a lot of stakes horses, but he races a lot of claiming horses. They put a big circle on the calendar for the Claiming Crown.
Great. So let's move on to the North America International Cataloging Standard. So TOBA's a big part of that. So when an owner is reading a catalog page in a sales catalog, there's a lot of information. I mean, we're an industry about information, whether you're looking at a program, whether you're looking at a pedigree. I mean, we are an information-based industry. How does that catalog page follow guidelines, and what does the cataloging standard, what's the role in the cataloging standard committee in making sure that the information on those catalog pages are consistent?
That's a great question, Gary, and probably an area a lot of people, to be honest with you, are not familiar with. The International Cataloging Standards Committee, the North American version of it, comprises of the major sales companies, Keeneland, Fasig, Tipton, OBS, the Canadian sales companies, also the Canadian Graded Stakes Committee. TOBA has a couple seats on it, as does the Jockey Club. And we try to abide, and I'll try to make this as high level as possible, according to CETA standards. A lot of people don't know what CETA is. It's the Society for International Thoroughbred Auctioneers, the sales companies. So ultimately, what goes through those sales catalogs is ultimately the sales company's final decision, but they engage the industry in terms of TOBA, the Jockey Club, other constituents, to come up with standards that when you're reading a catalog page, whether you're in Florida, whether you're in California, New York, Kentucky, you're reading the same thing. And so it establishes the most important thing is the black type standards. And black type is so important to a catalog page. And there's also, you have regular black type. And again, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but you also have restricted black type. And we have exemptions for black type for state bred, stallion progeny, sales graduates, non-winners of a sweepstakes. So when someone picks up a catalog, they have as much confidence as possible that what they're looking at that page truly reflects that horse's ability. Okay. And obviously, if you want to take it a step further, I'll give Scott a little bit of a plug. Get Auction Edge from the BloodHorse, and you can dig a little bit deeper. But we try to provide as much information through the catalogs to the buying public.
Well, that's important that, you're looking at a catalog page and a sales catalog to know that the confidence is there, the consistency is there, and everybody's on a level playing field.
Absolutely. Now, not all sales across the country are CETA compliant. Some of the very small regional ones are, but most of them, all the major ones are, and a lot of the mid-major ones are as well. But it's very important to keep those standards high.
So, Dan, I got about another minute for TOBA. Why don't you talk about TOBA, the organization? It's a membership organization for owners and breeders. So everyone out there that's an owner and breeder, talk about, the benefits of becoming a member of TOBA, how it benefits the individual, the organization, and the industry as a whole.
Sure. I'll be quick on this. TOBA was founded in 1961 when the Old American Thoroughbred Breeders Association merged with the Owners Association. So really our roots go back to about 1935. And TOBA's mission is to improve the economics, integrity, and pleasure of the sport on behalf of owners and breeders. When you become a TOBA member, the most important thing, if you want to look, you're supporting an industry organization that is open to anybody to join. It's not by invitation. Anybody can join it. Anybody can get involved. You do get included with your membership a subscription to the BloodHorse, which is to us the Bible for thoroughbred racing and for everything that they do, and Scott will bring that up. You get a TOBA pin, which I'm wearing one here, which gets you in virtually every clubhouse in America, free admission except a few of the big days. But I think just as importantly, you are, and there's other benefits in terms of discounts, etc. But you're actually supporting an organization that is an advocate for owners and breeders. And we represent owners and breeders, not only in the United States on important policy-making decisions, but internationally as well. And the final thing that we do, which is probably the most important thing we do, TOBA founded, has managed, and has done the graded stakes process through the American Graded Stakes Committee since 1973. Before that, there was no such thing as graded races in North America. TOBA does it. TOBA takes care of it and has invested a lot in it. And so that is so important to TOBA's core mission, to those 11 people that sit around that table and decide the grading process. We have a meeting here in a few minutes, our spring meeting. The grading process impacts racetracks, but more importantly, we believe it impacts owners and breeders for their decisions as well.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, your organization, great advocates for owners and breeders, and certainly appreciate a lot of your insights.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move over to Scott. Certainly not last, but certainly not least. And Dan even plugged the BloodHorse. So, Scott, let's go ahead and talk about the BloodHorse and some of the information available to owners. So, why don't we go ahead and jump over to the BloodHorse page? So, or maybe you want to talk about the magazine first. So you have a monthly magazine. It used to be weekly. Now it's a monthly magazine. and many would say it's a must read for owners, and I would absolutely say it's a must read for owners. Talk about some of the feature content in the magazine, and especially how owners would find interesting articles and interesting information in the magazine.
Sure, thank you, Gary. Well, I appreciate the plug, Dan, too. Yeah, the BloodHorse, it's a brand, 105 years old. The magazine itself is absolutely a must read for all owners. We'll say it's available in print and also in digital tablet format as well. Some of the highlights in the magazine, monthly features, got a column called What's Going On Here. It's one of our longest standing columns looking at the state of the industry. We've got a piece called The Run Up, which is really for the record news and then covering key events within the sport. Obviously, the feature section, we typically have about 4 to 5 key features in each monthly issue, covering everything from the personalities in the sport, both horse and human, the key events, and obviously any topical events that are taking place within the industry. A section called Why It Worked, fantastic analysis of breeding of current horses. We keep talking about Sierra Leone. He was featured just in the April issue. Got Market Watch, which has been a very popular section for many years now. Really valuable statistics on various topics, everything from trainers' records to stakes results. And then when we actually switched from the weekly to the monthly, we started getting away a little bit from some of the race results, but we did hear from our subscribers who wanted to still have some of that in the magazine. So we do have a section called the Honor Roll, which covers the grade 1, 2, and 3 races, includes 5 cross pedigree notes, owners, and breeder information. So a lot of good information in each monthly issue.
Okay, great, great. So along with the monthly magazine, there's also a daily newsletter. So it's called BloodHorse Daily. So can you let our audience know, how do you get that? Do you have to subscribe to it? Who can actually read the BloodHorse Daily on a daily basis?
Right. Actually, let me switch to grab our site here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so the BloodHorse Daily is an electronic newsletter that we send out each day. It's actually available in app and also via email. It's free to subscribe. On the website here, you click on the daily and you can just put in your email there to get linked up to the subscription. I'll send it to you each night. And again, it's just wealth of knowledge and information looking at race results with write-ups on the race results, upcoming entries, and then topical news of that day. So it's really a snapshot of everything taking place around that day.
Okay, great. So, and there's no cost to do that?
It's free. Like I said, it's an email you'll get each night, and it's also available via app. You can go to the Apple Store, put that on your phone, but it's all free.
Okay, so once somebody plugs in their email there, they'll get a notification that, hey, your BloodHorse Daily is available. Click on it, and there it is.
Correct.
Great, great. Okay. So one of my favorite features on the BloodHorse website, and you've got a very comprehensive website here, and I highly recommend that. It covers the sire list. So if somebody has an interest in a racehorse or a broodmare, and they want to see, well, how's that stallion doing? How is that stallion, producing a lot of good runners? I believe you have a menu item there on stallion statistics and breeding. Show us a little bit about that, if you could.
Yeah, well, let me jump real quickly, just quick on it's obviously the website's just got a ton of information here for everybody, including owners. Some of the stakes results we have here too. Same thing, you can watch the racing as you want. So ton of information there. We do have some headers up here that help simplify if you want to go to certain categories. So when you were talking about the sire list, go here and you can actually pick, some of the different ones you have. But if you go, I'm just gonna do the all-star list here. You can also break those out and you can go by year. You can pull which hemisphere you want. You can do the surfaces. You can go by progeny earnings. So a lot of information that you can customize to exactly the information that you want to receive. Again, a lot of these are also hyperlinked. So if you wanted to grab some more information, you just click on those as well to get more information.
Okay, so if an owner has stable horses and they know the sire line, they could possibly come here to the sire list and see how that stallion is doing statistically.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Again, here, I just want to note, if you wanted to sort, if you want to look about progeny earnings or number of black type winners, all that, again, it's customizable for exactly how they want to receive the information.
Okay, and if you click on like the second drop down box where it says list type and you have leading sires, does it give you an option for, oh, so there's many more sire lists?
Lots of different things you can do there. You can look at first crop sires, broodmare sire, a lot of information. Like I said, this it's very powerful, great resource for owners and anybody interested in the sport to look up some information.
And what's this going to cost me to look up all this information?
Again, this one's free.
All right, I love that price. All right,
a lot of free information at people's fingertips.
Okay, and I know you have a stallion register. I love looking at that. Why don't you just show us real quick a page with your stallion register under the stallions in breeding, or even just click on Into Mischief. Okay, so you can search by stallions.
Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah, we still print a stallion register. That does come free with your subscription to the magazine.
Okay.
This online, again, it's totally free. So it looks like we've pulled up Curlin here. Actually, if you click on, click here. So it obviously shows the farm. Hillendale shows his current fee.
Ooh.
If you click on it, yeah, it's a nice fee there.
Okay, that's what this is the
here's
page.
His page. It's going to show his confirmation photo, all the information of where he's standing, current fee. If you want to go to the farm's website, again here, if you wanted to get some information from Equineline, you can click right through. But here's where the great stuff is. If you pull down a little bit, you can get to the progeny. Here's all the information here you can get on progeny. So
nice.
Eyesight's off here a little bit, but you can see the top performers right here, lifetime runners, recent results, and what I really like is upcoming entries. So you can see if they've got some offspring that are upcoming races as well.
Yes, very good, very useful. Okay, yeah. Well, our time is going well. We're right about the 3:03 mark, so. It goes really fast, you guys, and I really appreciate all the insight. So that's going to wrap up our discussion. So what I'd like to do now is move to the Q&A session with our audience asking questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to break away for just a minute, look at promotion from our Q&A sponsor, West Point Thoroughbreds, while we sort through the questions, and we'll be right back.
How do you become the gold standard in racing partnerships? One horse, one partner, one victory at a time. Congratulations to all our partners who have made West Point the gold standard for the last 3 decades.
Okay, all right. So first question, we have a number of questions in the queue, so let's just start at the top. So here's a question. The video part of Equineline, Tim, can I access any race video for 35 cents per video, or do I have to belong to a subscription for that service on Equineline? I know we didn't get a chance to hit on that, but
yeah, you can access any individual video that we have available in our inventory for 35 cents. It does not require a subscription, so you can watch just a single video, be available for you for 48 hours at that 35 cents. But no, you don't have to sign up for a monthly subscription. You can watch a single race if you would like. But I do note that we don't have every single race of all of our race records. There are some limited availability in our inventory, and that's going to vary by track as well as year and due to the age of a race.
And I would assume if there's a video link, it means you have the video. If there's no link, there is no video.
You've got it right. Yeah, if you see the icon, that means a video is attached to it.
Okay, and Rhonda, similar question in the queue for Equibase. You had mentioned, I think, that you have subscription rates for the videos within Equibase. Can you hit on that real quickly on what those subscription rates are?
We do. We have a daily plan that I think is, don't quote me on these, I think it's $5.95. And then we've got some unlimited, and we have like a plan that I personally use quite a bit. It's like for a monthly plan, and you can watch 100 videos. I think that's $12.95. But and then within particular products, as part of that purchase product of a handicapping product, like our Racelands product, for instance, all video replays come for free as part of that purchase.
Okay. Here's a question on speed figures. How do your speed figures different from daily racing form? It seems that there's been some discussion about that topic. So question for Rhonda.
I think the biggest difference is ours is automatically generated. I know that the daily racing form, the buyer is actually, was derived from Andy Buyer, and he has a team of people that does that. We have pretty sophisticated algorithms that develop our speed figure. I think that the scale that we use is slightly different as well. But beyond that, I think that's the main thing. Like once a year, we'll go through and kind of look at any kind of outliers where we feel like we may need to take a little bit of deeper dive, like, the Belmont, not this year, but typically where it's a 1.5 mile race and there may not be enough body of 1.5 mile races and track variant and that kind of thing that goes into developing that figure. We may go back and look at when it happens, and then definitely a good scrub at the end of the year. But beyond that, whatever that automated number comes out is what it is.
Okay. Here's a question. Do any of you offer a complete list of upcoming stakes to search for future possibilities, not just the ones that are already in condition books?
There, for virtual stable, there is the ability to follow stakes races. So I would encourage you just to go to our virtual stable drop down, look at the various options that we have, and one of them is stakes.
BloodHorse has that as well. We've got, if you go to the racing tab, if you scroll down, there is a tab there as well for all the upcoming stakes.
Okay. Question for Toba. How do you find information about the upcoming Toba in-person sessions? Dan?
You can go to the TOBA website, toba.org, and it'll have all the information on our upcoming seminars and clinics.
Okay. Question for Equineline. Recently, you reduced the cost of your race records by 50%. Is this just a promotion, or is this a permanent price change?
That is a permanent price change. We always evaluate our prices and listen to our customers as well. And we did look back at the race records and did determine that it was time for an adjustment. So those were reduced by 50% across the board.
Okay, and that's a permanent change.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
As far as
all right. On Equibase, Rhonda, we had a chance to look at workouts. Here was a question: where can I find workouts on Equibase?
So if you go to the entries, top nav, workouts is going to be an option there. And then once you click on that, it's going to have a listing of every track, every training center, and all the workout information from there. But it is within our entries section.
Okay, so go to the entries and it's within that drop down. Okay. Question for BloodHorse. Can you tell me what is BloodHorse Plus?
Yeah, so BloodHorse Plus was launched about 2.5 years ago, and it's really kind of a behind the scenes, kind of an insider's look, deeper dive into some of the features that we have, and it's very video heavy. So, it might be with our editorial director, Frank, might be interviewing somebody for the magazine, and goes ahead and maybe asks a couple additional questions that we put up there. It's also a lot of at the track, kind of behind the scenes, in the stable row. It's included free with your magazine subscription, but we do have the ability, you can pay a monthly fee to access that as well.
Okay. Here's a question for OwnerView. If I want to retire my racehorse, can I find aftercare farms on OwnerView? And the answer is yes. We do have an aftercare tab, and we keep that updated and absolutely support and promote the aftercare alliance, the various organizations. So yes, we do have aftercare covered on OwnerView. One more question on OwnerView: how do you research a trainer's character, integrity, and safety record? It's easy to research percentages on wins and placings, but I don't see anything about the trainer's character, and that's a tough question, and that really is something that you have to rely on just basically common sense. Ask for references for that trainer, meet the trainer, spend some time with that person. Don't just assume that because the person has a excellent win percentage or in the money percentage, or they're the leading trainer at your racetrack, that their personality is going to work with you. So ask questions, get references, look at their rulings, and as owners, we have that right. And that's one thing that every owner has the right to decide, is who to train their horses and who not to use. Okay, here's a question on looking up owners on Equibase. I think we covered that, didn't we, Rhonda, that you can look up owners, horses, trainers, and so on, correct?
Yeah, so in the top right of every single page of the website is a search bar, and you can click on to the left and you'll see horses, but there's a drop down and you can absolutely search on owners. Once you get to that page, then there's a link where you can look at their various partnerships, their top horses. It's all where they've ranked in any given year, with wins, with earnings, a lot of information there.
Okay, so that wraps up our Q&A session. We're at almost 3:15, which is usually about our breaking time. So what I'd like to offer to the audience, if you have any follow-up questions for either myself, Dan, Rhonda, Tim, Scott, on the screen now, it's showing our information, our contact information. It's a little blurry, but there we go. Now it's nice and clear. And so if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to contact us. And if you don't have time to write these down, that's fine. We're going to have all this recorded where you can come back to the screen. So I'd like to also remind everybody again of the June 6th and 7th TOBA 2-day breeding clinic in Lexington, where you're going to visit Lanes End and Mulholland Springs, Pin Oak and Crestwood Farms, and please visit toba.org to register. So I'd like to thank all of our panelists for your time and insights. And this is an important subject because, again, we are an information-based industry. So thank you for taking the time to be here today. Dan, I know you got a meeting to run off to. Appreciate your being here. Tim, Rhonda, Scott, really appreciate your being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
But most of all, like to thank the audience for being with us, because without owners investing in our sport, we just simply don't have an industry. So we're going to be back in May with another online webinar on the topic of equine nutrition, best practices from foals to racehorses, and that should be an interesting topic. Until then, we wish you well. Enjoy the Kentucky Derby, and we hope that you visit the Winner's Circle and visit it often. Thanks, everybody. Signing off.